Hi, this is Derek. I have a DVD Blu-ray update for today. Kind of long overdue. I haven't done one in a while, so I'll show you some of the stuff I got over the last couple of weeks. Um, Same usual hunting grounds I go to. Amazon's always really good. HMV I love, and there's always this pawn shop near my work that I go to that has some pretty good deals. So let's get right to it. This is kind of a continuation of what I showed in my last update, which was some Simpsons seasons. Amazon had these for $11 a pop, which is nuts. So I thought, yeah, I had to get these. So I got Simpsons season 11. I got Simpsons season 12, Simpsons season 13, and Simpsons season 14. Ooh, shiny. Look at that. Kind of what inspired me to go back to getting all these Simpsons seasons, all this fun Springfield goodness, was I was doing like a marathon of the Treehouse of Horror episodes during Halloween, and I just kind of thought, there's some good stuff here. I was always pretty adamant that for the longest time I had up to season 8 in my collection, and I was happy to end there because I thought that's where it kind of stopped being consistently good. Like almost like every episode was like a classic up to that season, arguably. After that, it kind of got so hit and miss. But there's good episodes like within these 4 seasons that I got here. Not that I can cite each season specifically. But there's a bunch of good episodes. The Behind the Laughter episode I really like. Kind of like a fake VH1 documentary on how the Simpsons came to be, how they dealt with fame, Homer getting addicted to painkillers, the kids being fed growth hormones, things like that. I thought it was, very fun. I was like, well, that is one of my favorite episodes. When they show Homer starring in Rent, where is the rent? I must have the rent. I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny. There's the Mel Gibson episode, which I really like. Beyond Blunderdome is what it's called. Back in the days before Mel was like, it seemed to be like public enemy #1, and they kind of like make jokes like, oh, the cops won't even give me a ticket because people love me so much. Foreboding. And the hilarious spoof of or remake of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, where he massacres Congress. So I don't think you could see something like that today. Very un-PC, but still very funny. In the episode where Homer finds out he has a crayon in his brain, and that's what's causing his stupidity. I thought that was all pretty good, and some really funny episodes here and there. But some episodes that are kind of stinkers, kind of all over the place. Like one of the ones that a lot of people cite as one of the most all over the place, poorly written episodes when they go to Florida for spring break, and then there's like an alligator, and then there's the sheriff played by Dietrich Bader who's like fucking up their shit. Just so weird, but I don't know. I think you can take the good with the bad. So I'm happy to have got these, and for the price that I got these too. I mean, $11 a pop. Hey, why not, right? And these Simpsons DVDs. I have some right there, as you can see. They're just packed to the brim with special features, which I love. The commentaries they have on these from the writers, like comedy writers, talking about their craft. I love that shit. I've listened to every single commentary. Just maybe have it on in the background when I'm doing something else or whatever. But it's always really candid and really informative, and I really like that. They're even like the first to kind of admit their faults and stuff. Like, there's one episode, I don't think it's within these seasons, I think it's season 10 or 9 or 10, the infamously bad Armin Tamzarian episode where it turns out, Principal Skinner is an imposter, blah, blah, blah. Oh, jeez, get that season just to listen to that commentary where they're like, wow, they're kind of lamenting it and kind of standing up for it at the same time. So I don't know, it's all really good, and lots of great people in the commentaries. Aside from the writers, sometimes they'll have the guest stars pop up here and there. Matt Groening, the creator of the show, the cast like Dan Castellaneta and Yardley Smith, they'll show up quite frequently too. So I don't know. I think it's a good show to have. I mean, get the show until you feel comfortable. But if you can find these seasons at a good price, why not? That's what I say. Why not? It's been on as long as it has for a reason. And of course, the Treehouse of Horror episodes are always favorites of mine. So yeah, another TV show I got. again, kind of a continuation of my last update where I found 30 Rock Season 6 for like $5.99, which was nuts. This one, I was like, I had to complete my collection. Season 7, the final season. This is actually, oddly enough, it's a short season. I think it only has like 13 episodes as opposed to like maybe like 22 or so. But a fair final season. I think they went off on good notes and did justice to the characters. One of my favorite shows of all time. Tina Fey, hilarious. Jane Krasinski, hilarious. Alec Baldwin, hilarious. Tracy Morgan, Jack McBrayer, all fucking hilarious on this show. One of my favorites. So I'm happy to have completed my 30 Rock collection. So, yeah, great show. If you haven't watched the show, check it out. 30 Rock. For DVDs, I got quite a few movies here and there. One movie I got, I just couldn't believe that I didn't have this in my collection, so I had to fix that immediately. And that's Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. Absolute masterpiece. I love it. If you haven't seen this movie, you owe it to have it in your collection. That's all I'll say about Groundhog Day. Another one, kind of a hidden gem, I would say, from the 80s. It's Dr. Detroit with Dan Aykroyd, where he plays kind of the straight-laced college professor who somehow finds himself into being a pimp for these ladies. One of them is a Fran Drescher, actually. Very wacky 80s comedy. And really, Dan Aykroyd, he's such a fucking comedic genius. Like, he does this, like, dual personality with, like, his, kind of dorky college professor character, but then being Dr. Detroit the pimp, where he like puts on this weird voice, and it's just so brilliant. He is just fucking great. I mean, really, this is one of his best movies, I'd say, one of his best leading roles at least. So definitely check this out if you haven't. Dr. Detroit, super 80s. It oozes 80s, but in the best possible way. So definitely check it out. Speaking of Dan Aykroyd, got in 80s movies, got this triple feature of Uncle Buck, The Great Outdoors, Going Berserk. So we got like a John Candy triple feature here. This is pretty good, pretty cheap. Uncle Buck I already have. Like, it's one of my favorite movies, but always good to have a backup, I think. I mainly got this for The Great Outdoors. Again, I was kind of on a Dan Aykroyd fix because I was watching Dr. Detroit and some of the old Saturday Night Live episodes. Blues Brothers, one of my favorites, Blues Brothers. And so I hadn't seen The Great Outdoors in such a long time, and it holds up. It's really, really funny, especially the parts with the bear. Well, no, actually the funniest parts in the movies. As someone who, within summertime, has to deal with these little varmints, the scenes with the raccoons where they like subtitle what they're saying, so fucking funny. And anyone who's ever dealt with them knows exactly kind of how that rings true. Going Berserk I haven't seen, which is maybe embarrassing because I'm Canadian. You would think I would have seen this John Candy, Joe Flaherty, and Eugene Levy comedy, but I haven't. So comment below if you've seen Going Berserk, if it's worth checking out. I'm sure it is, but I'll get to it eventually. But no, I haven't seen it. Another 80s comedy, one of my favorites, is Throw Mama from the Train. Just so one of the best Danny DeVito movies, one of the best Billy Crystal movies ever. I mean, this is fucking... this is another movie. I'm like, I can't believe I haven't had this in my collection. I'm trying to find the actress's name. Anne Ramsey. I believe that's... Yeah, Anne Ramsey, nominated for an Oscar for playing her role. So great as the nagging mother. And she's like, Owen, where's my tea? So good. Kind of, of course, spoof take on Strangers on a Train, where it's like, crisscross, you do my murder, I'll do yours. Like, Billy Crystal has the ex-wife who kind of ruined his life, and Danny DeVito, of course, has his mom. So, Danny DeVito, schmuck that he is in this movie, kind of mistakes, Billy Crystal just kind of talking cheap with actual murderous intent. But meanwhile, there's twists and turns in it that are very comedically well done, I guess you could say. But absolute classic. One of my favorites, actually. You definitely gotta check this out. Another movie, I just couldn't believe I didn't have this in my collection, and I had to fix that immediately. And that's Groundhog Day. A masterpiece. If you haven't seen this movie, you owe it to yourself to have in your collection, and that's all I'll say about that. Another one, I hadn't seen this, but I found it was 99 cents at the pawn shop. So I figured I'll finally give this a go, and it's Little Fockers. I love the first Meet the Parents. I even love Meet the Fockers too. Little Fockers, kind of a fall from grace, but it's okay. It just kind of feels sitcom-ish, like an elongated episode of a television show rather than a movie. So there's little laughs here and there. Jessica Alba's in it. She's pretty hot. De Niro's doing his thing. He's funny as always. Ben Stiller, pretty funny in his role as well. And the one thing I'll give this movie credit for is that, spoiler alert if you care, at the end they do finally have this showdown, like a brawl, like a fist fight. And Jack, De Niro's character, is like, we had this date from the very beginning, like the Streetcar Named Desire. And, beating the shit out of each other, which I thought, if this movie achieved anything, at least did that. So it's okay for what it is. Next movie, probably one of the best comedies I've seen in a while. We're the Millers. This is really funny. Kind of like, it's like almost like a comedy version of Midnight Express, where it's like, okay, we're really, really tense about them smuggling the drugs. But it's very funny, and Nick Offerman's in it. We have Jason Sudeikis, Jennifer Aniston. Who's the girl? She's Julia Roberts' niece, Emma Roberts. They're all great, really funny in this movie. And it does have, I would say, in maybe like the last 10 years or so, one of the best breaking the fourth wall moments in a comedy. That scene where Jennifer Aniston, she's trying to distract everybody. Or distract the villains, the drug cartels, whatever, by doing like a sexy stripper dance or whatever. The whole movie stops short, and it's like slow motion, water coming down like flash dance, shit like that. Then all of a sudden it cuts to Jason Sudeikis, who just like looks at the cameras like. I thought that was pretty funny. So really, really funny movie. Definitely check it out. If you haven't seen it, please give it a watch. You won't have any regrets. Another one. I just was recently exposed to this, maybe a few months ago. Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. Instantly kind of fell in love with it. It is totally Joss Whedon to the T. Plays with your emotions, which sometimes I don't like. But, a musical, like this is like an internet-made musical. That's really extremely well done by Neil Patrick Harris. In the lead, Nathan Fillion, of course, is in it, and Felicia Day. All really good. I snagged this for $1.99 at the pawn shop. Can't go wrong with that price. Really entertaining. Really took me by surprise. So definitely recommend if you're like me, if you can kind of maybe avoid it. Like, I don't really like musicals that much. Definitely check it out. You won't regret it. Finally, out of the DVDs, or maybe one or two more, The Last Detail, one of my favorites, Jack, in one of his best roles, and that's saying a lot, because this guy has some of the greatest roles ever, I think. Just fucking amazing movie. And Randy Quaid is in the movie, Oscar-nominated Randy Quaid for Best Supporting Actor. Just a fantastic movie. You got to check this one out. It's very funny, but it does have a very, very serious side where it does tap into that rebellious spirit that Jack Nicholson was so known for during the 70s. So one of my favorites, an absolute classic. I might want to go further with a review of this one day. But just look at this cover. Look at this fucking badass here. I think it's great. So some Blu-rays here. This one, Amazon had this for like $3, which, I thought, even if I don't like it, it's a Blu-ray for $3. August, Osage County, Julia Roberts, Meryl Streep. I think Meryl Streep plays some lady, I think, whatever. I think it's based on a play of some kind, and you can always kind of tell when a movie's based on a play, because, it stays to one location. It's very dialogue-driven. and very performance-driven, so perfect for someone like Meryl Streep. I think she was nominated for an Oscar for this, but what isn't she nominated for an Oscar for? Yeah, Julia Roberts, always really good. I always really like her. I found, in the past couple of years, she's been more selective of her roles and doing more kind of risky stuff. I thought, since winning the Oscar for Erin Brockovich, I think she's been kind of like thinking, I'm gonna do less of the America's Sweetheart kind of stuff and more kind of risky roles, which I like. So I'll be curious to see this movie. I'm sure it's pretty good. Another one I found this in the pawn shop. It's like $5 or something for a Blu-ray. What kind of incited me to watch this again was I was watching Good Will Hunting. It was the 15th anniversary Blu-ray, and they had a preview at the beginning for this movie, and I hadn't seen this in so long, and I was like, man, I really want to see this again. This is pretty good. And that's Rounders. Ed Norton, Matt Damon. About the poker player who's kind of quit the game because it's got him into some trouble, but his wild card best friend Ed Norton, he gets out of jail, he causes all this trouble, and it kind of forces him into one big last game. So maybe kind of a cliched thing, but I remember this being a pretty good movie, so I'm really curious to check it out again. Another one I hadn't seen in a really long time, and that's The Last King of Scotland. Forest Whitaker, Oscar-winning role. Can you tell Forest Whitaker's in the movie? I don't think they put him on the cover enough here. Oh yeah, there he is here. There he is here, and there he is here. Okay, so Forest Whitaker's in the movie. James McAvoy, he might be in this movie, I don't know. But yeah, this is kind of the movie where, it showed how fucking great Forest Whitaker could be. Just in case anyone didn't know, but also kind of introduced us to James McAvoy. So, who knew who he was when this movie came out? This is 2006, I think. So, a great performance, well deserving of the Oscar, and James McAvoy, great in it. I know they take some liberties with the history and stuff, but yeah, I'd be very curious to check this out again, if not only for the great performance. So, yeah. Another movie, I've gone into detail about this on my channel previously, and that's Gone Girl. One of the best movies of 2014, in my opinion. Gonna be enjoying watching this again. It's a pretty cool, like all the Fincher movies have pretty cool sets here. This one, it's the exclusive set that has the Amazing Amy book in it, so I think that's pretty cool. It's I was thinking there's gonna be some kind of weird twist to it, but it seems to be just a straightforward book. But it's a cool little special feature, I think. And a great movie, one of the year's best. Another one of the year's best from 2014, at least in my opinion. Didn't grace too many lists, didn't get too much awards attention, but I love it. And I'm so happy that I had watched it again, and it absolutely holds up upon repeat viewings. And that's St. Vincent, Bill Murray, Melissa McCarthy, Naomi Watts. Great in their roles. Bill Murray, honestly, I'd say this is one of Bill Murray's best movies, and that's saying a lot too. Just so funny, but it does have touching stuff to it, and it's all anchored by such a great comedic performance from Bill Murray. So just so great and so entertaining. So definitely check this out. I think it's one of the best comedies that I've seen in quite a few years. One that may top that. One that I do feel is one of the best films of 2014. Didn't make my list because I didn't have time, or I didn't see it. I mean, Birdman. Michael Keaton, the fucking man. Michael, we love you. You didn't win the Oscar. Doesn't matter. You're number one in our hearts. Go for broke performance. Entrancing, incredible, hilarious, and deeply disturbing, but in the best possible kind of way performance from Michael Keaton in the lead role. A great supporting cast. Edward Norton, Naomi Watts as well. Emma Stone. Just Amy Ryan, just Zach Galifianakis, all so amazing. This movie, and this is just such a great movie. And I like how it has like a little opening there, so you don't see too many special things. And one thing that's kind of interesting about this is that it's red. The Blu-ray's red, so it makes it stand out. This, of course, it won the Best Picture Oscar for this year, Best Picture 2014. So that's an accolade, and I think it's one of the ballsier decisions from the Academy. So a well-deserving Best Picture, I think. So yeah, that's. Oh wait, I have one more. this movie I couldn't believe I didn't have in my collection, so I had to fix that immediately. And that's Groundhog Day, a masterpiece. And if you haven't seen it, you owe it to yourself to have it in your collection. And that's all I'll say about that. So that's my Blu-ray update for today. Thank you very much for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you later.